Childhood Denied: The Effects of Adversity, Trauma, and Violence on Children, and How Those Effects Are Addressed Through Therapeutic Support. Written by Jim Colajuta. Narrated by Jim Chappell. Chapter 1. Introduction. Despite its prevalence throughout history, child abuse has only lately been identified as a social issue. Concerns about children's welfare initially concentrated on physical abuse and neglect. The early child abuse laws were almost entirely focused on physical abuse, and only later, as awareness grew, were the rules revised to cover sexual abuse. Throughout history, violence against children has taken every possible form: physical, emotional, psychological, sexual, neglect, and child labor, at times adopting quite strange shapes. He went on to say that in ancient times, even the right to life had to be conferred by a rite. Before that, a kid with no rights might be disposed of as casually as an aborted fetus. Until recently, infanticide was practiced regularly, and in some cultures it was mandatory for weak, preterm, or malformed kids. Infanticide was practiced in some parts of Europe well into the 19th century. One standard method of disposing of undesirable children, particularly girls, was to place an accidental lying on top of a child in bed overnight, suffocating it, which was practiced in England until the 1920s. However, if a child was allowed to live, the danger of mistreatment persisted. The youngster might potentially be sold for a profit. Furthermore, child labor can be exceptionally cruel to children. For example, they may be sold as apprentices and forced to work in factories that are continually overworked and frequently brutalized. Students recounted a machine known as Sherrington's daughter, used to discipline children in the business by bending their hands down between their knees, causing blood to flow from their nose and ears. Even when the youngster lived with their parents, they were subjected to harsh treatment. Various elements contribute to child abuse. First, because of the high death rate, mothers frequently did not develop attachments to their children. Second, children were regarded as little adults, whose sole function was to increase the family's economic base, i.e., the workforce. Third, they were regarded as inferiors who required harsh treatment, and physical punishment was neither unusual nor opposed. Severe physical punishment had been justified on a variety of grounds, including the following. 1. Children are rebellious animals whose desire for independence or answers to their questions must be suppressed. 2. Children can only learn to obey when they are subjected to solid and consistent physical discipline. 3. Children are wrong and must be abused until they are no longer evil. 4. By being beaten, children learn to respect authority. 5. Children are the father's property. His authority is absolute, and any challenge to his power is punishable. Sexual exploitation of children. The pervasive disrespect for childhood and children's perception as property also paved the way for child sexual exploitation. Throughout much of history, adult-adolescent sexual interaction was not only permitted, but often the standard. Adult-child sexual interaction was somewhat less common, but still reasonably prevalent. Many famous historical characters demonstrate that adult-adolescent, and to a lesser extent adult-child, sexual behavior was widespread and generally tolerated. The man-boy partnerships that were frequent in ancient Greece and Rome are one of the most well-known examples. Individual examples
Sample complete. Ready to continue?